Hello, everybody. It's Scribs. If you don't know who I am, I'm a digital artist. Well, also a traditional artist, and I'm 22 years old, and I'm finally learning how to do prop design. So, I've had a few forays in prop design, mainly this, which is a piece I was proud that I completed, but I absolutely hate with my whole heart. And today we're going to try to work on three different pieces that I've done before, but haven't really had the stylized rendering that I wanted. So Chloe and Solomon sharing a milkshake, Jake and Dante eating meal together, and finally that cursed witch's brew banner background that I just showed you. So let's get into it. So when I try to learn a new skill, I do what I always do, which is draw in my current style without any reference photo. Well, with a real life reference photo rather than a stylized reference photo. And let me tell you, I gave up on drawing this and I was like, actually, drawing pups are so boring. Do I really want to draw them again? Because I thought my art sucks so bad. And then I started studying from this one artist. And I hope I don't butcher the pronunciation of their username. Kaya Mataiga, I think? Who I had found through Pinterest, and then through Google's insane tracking laws or whatever, they recommended me them to on Instagram. So yeah, got to get to the original source, and I really fell in love with what they do. It's similar to these two other artists that I really love, Sonia Stegman and Walesa Art, I think. But I'm also going to be studying from them later on, and yeah, basically what I took away from everything is simple shading and really honing in on the shapes. And that's something that I really suck at, like even now. And they always have this really round friendly element to them, and I always feel like my art ends up being really sharp. I tried to draw an Asiago bagel from this reference study, but like also trying to make it my own, and my friend thought it was gelatin, so that basically tells me all I need to know about my drawing skill. And that was like in the middle of the first study I did. And then this is after the first few studies that I showed you. I decided to draw some eggs on my own. I did these sunny side up eggs. I did two boiled eggs, and it's hard to draw the boiled texture really. And then I tried to do a over medium, so where like you can see the yolk in the middle, but it didn't really turn out so well. Now I started my studies from the second artist, Kaya. I think that's how you know what I'm talking about. I kind of said it. I'll put the name up in the corner again, and the link will be in my description so you can check out their art. I really love the way they draw these. All these people have like slightly similar simplification or style of how I want to do it, but it's also kind of different. I didn't end up doing Sonia Stegman because I wanted to rush, and I shouldn't rush. The point of studies is to learn and to improve, and I really realized that that's what I really need to do in order to get over this little hump that I'm having, in order to really change my art and become the artist that I want to be. It sounds so philosophical, I guess. I made a brush if you would like to mimic the style of these people and the style that I'm going for, and it's for free up on my Ko-fi. You can go get it now. I'll put the link in the description. Yeah. And while you're there, check out my other brushes. Anyway, back to the studies. Just want to talk again about being the artist I want to be and studying and everything. So I want to move on to studying furniture a bit and other stuff after this. And I think the best way to be able to do that is to also study from these same people who simplify furniture the same way they simplify props, and to also do a little bit of a prop study myself before I go into the final piece. So I tried, because I did these props, I'm going to show you that piece where I remake Jake and Dante. I don't know if I'll end up doing Chloe and Solomon on video. I might still post the that final drawing on my socials instead. But yeah. So one thing about that is I had drawn a couch or like a seat booth in it, and I didn't really want to render it um, that time, so I didn't look at it. Like my influences for rendering furniture were always somebody who did a complete opposite style of what I would want. Like it wouldn't be this type of art. So it would end up looking very weird and in a wrong way because I wasn't really well versed in that other style, and I was only trying to be well versed in this. And if I had studied from them, I'm sure it would have turned out great, but it just wasn't fitting me, and always trying to make something that's not fitting me work. Like you can't it's just not gonna work out. And so I started to really hone in on this stuff. So I studied right now. I did in my style an apple, a cup, a pencil, and a donut. And I kind of like how they turned out, and I kind of don't. I think food ends up being the most troubling to me. There's just something about it that hasn't been able to really resonate with me as much as I would like it to, but I think I'm gonna get better at it. And I always have to remember, like, to not choose really complex stuff that have a lot of detail because the style is so simple. We can't make too complex of a design, you know. So I didn't really end up liking the donut that I did, and uh, I don't know. It was really complicated to do it and like see how it turned out and like kind of like it and then also hate it in the end. It was so weird. I think another thing is also need to be really precise with my shapes, and I'm just not as precise as I want to be. So yeah, this is the part where I was like, oh, I need to do a study before I do the Witch's Brew banner, or I'm still gonna be unsatisfied with my result. I used my first piece as reference, ended up changing the dimensions of the artwork, and I'm better versed in side profiles now that it wasn't that bad to do. You know, I think the first time around, the heads were really too big, and I think I tried to make sure that wasn't the case this time while also keeping the likeness of my characters there, yeah, in the art piece. I also wanted them to look like they were interacting a bit more, so I made sure to include that detail, causing him to lean in more to his girlfriend, and I changed his hairstyle as well, just because I thought it was simpler to draw. I kept the feeding the strawberry element, although the hand and the mouth are very hard to do at that angle. But I still liked it, actually. I don't think I did too bad on that. My favorite part, I think, is the champagne glass. Now, the can is okay, and the cake is the worst thing to me. And other than that, yeah, I really liked it. I know that I made a lot of, like, I tailored a lot of things so that it would, like, keep the props in focus, but it would still be about them. Like, you can tell, it's a romantic date, and you can tell the different types of things that they're drinking. And I also tried to be as precise by using the symmetry tool. And the hardest part was making the strawberries look three-dimensional. I think that's something that is really the worst part that I do with props is certain shapes don't look as real as I want them to. But other than that, I was really proud of what I did. But because I was dissatisfied with the cake, I decided I should do some more practice of like gems and other materials that witches would have in order to make my banner a really great piece. I don't want to have this half dissatisfaction with the final part of the piece the way I did with this one. Even though really the only thing I want to fix about this piece is the cake and I wish I had a background, that is enough for me to be like, you know, this piece is mediocre. It's so crazy. Like, yeah, I think the what's it called? The table. Working on the table, I had looked at a reference for from like one of the artists I was referencing, and then I ended up realizing that because I had simplified my style altogether, the basic way of just doing the wood pattern on the table without any of the extra stuff ended up working and feeling really nice. It didn't feel incomplete, which is what I've been trying to get at. So that euphoric feeling really helped out a lot. Even leaving it plain would have been fine, but the point was to slightly render all the objects. I forgot what I was saying, even though I was literally just recording, which is so funny. But yeah, getting to compare the original to this, I get to see that the cake is really just lacking dimension, and that's what it always ends up being every time. And yeah, I wish I just always knew how to make 2D things look 3D. My 3D art could really use some work. I always want to get into 3D art in general anyway, but never did. It's kind of intimidating to me. But in the end, I really do like what I did, and I think the colors were also hard to pick. I think it ended up working out way better than the original piece, as you can see here. And now we're going to get into studying pieces for the Witch's Brew banner. Hello everybody. So what I ended up doing, why I'm saying hello, it's because I'm recording on a different day, but what I ended up doing was drawing a few props of my own instead of getting into that final piece. I kind of ran out of steam, so I used reference images and just stylized them, and I feel way better than I did the first time about the art that I made. I think I ended up doing a pumpkin pie because I was going to draw things in relation to cooking, because a part of Witch's Brew is about cooking witches and witches that are into food creation. I did a candle because candles give a witch vibe. I really like how I did the candle, by the way. I also did a Ouija board, like the little pointer thingy. I don't think they really mess. Actually, no. Bobby does a little bit of necromancy, but I don't know if I would say she does Ouija boards, But I really liked doing this one. I thought it was kind of fun to do, and it came out pretty cute. And I ended up doing a crystal ball, which the design I didn't like as much when I ended up finishing it. I felt like it was really incomplete, and the crystal ball I did the first time felt a lot more better, but at the end of the day, I still think it looks like what it's supposed to look like, if that makes sense. And that's kind of also what I'm trying to make sure I go for. So these are the complete designs. Tell me if you think I'm getting closer to my goal and how you feel about prop design. Bye. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great weekend.